first things first, we're starting off with what I like to call a devil's advocate question. And it's basically where I present two scenarios and you have to dig in for, or trick or treat in for whichever one you think is worse. Okay. In this situation now, which fate is worse? Being converted into a Dalek or a Cyberman?
Treat. Dalek.
Okay.
I think I made the right call. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So Sam, you'll have to argue for Dalek. Will, I'm sorry, you're going to have to argue for Cyberman no matter what.
Cool.
Okay.
First.
You do, however, get a chance to come up with more time because, Sam, your time to argue for Dalek will start now.
Okay, so the perks of being a Cyberman is that there is a specifically built little chip that means that you actually don't feel the worst part of being a Cyberman, knowing you're a Cyberman and caring that you're a Cyberman. Being a Dalek is absolute cruelty. They turn you into something tiny and scared and fascist, and they are coming up with new ways to fuck with you every single day of their little horrible lives.
We're a little bit over that. I'll allow it, though. Okay, and Will, your time starts now.
There's a lot of precedent in the TV series and the expanded universe for that inhibitor chip breaking, so you're going to be way more likely to know that you're a Cyberman than you are a Dalek. Dalek is a lot of genetic mutations, a lot of experimentation to make sure that that does not happen. There's less precedent for Daleks changing. Cybermen, a lot of surgery, a lot of gory stuff. Daleks, a lot more abstract. I think the body horror for the Cybermen.
Okay, very good. And very small fight. Go.
I think Revelation alone blurs the line between how much, really, if there's any difference between the horror of the surgery and the process itself, then it's negligible. And the actual existence that you have to live in afterwards, it's got to be a Dalek. Not only are you going to kill your loved ones, you're going to destroy life itself to make everything as fucked up as you are.
Cool. So yeah, I think when it comes to the Cybermen as well, because they are actually something that is a very realistic line that is being blurred in current reality. There have been, even on some of the DVDs, I think it was of Attack of the Cybermen, they were arguing about this because there was a man with an actual bionic arm. Stuff like genetic engineering is a far flung off concept, whereas Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis were talking about this in the 1960s. I think the fact that Cybermen are so close to home rather than the Daleks are more of an abstract concept means that I think it's just more the basic gut instinct of the Cybermen being just the more terrifying conversion, because they are way more realistic.
More realistic, but that's exactly why it's closer. People choose to become Cybermen in this universe. Nobody has ever chosen to become a Dalek. The very fact that somebody could become a Dalek, become the mutant itself, was a horrifying 80s revelation, and it kind of makes the Cybermen obsolete as an idea.
I think we've got a really great recent example of a Cyberman or a person who chose to become a Cyberman, and that was Ashad. Now, we don't know the exact details of his backstory at time of recording this. We are one day removed from the power of the Doctor. But what we can at least glean is that during the Cyber Wars, he killed his family because he wanted to become part of what he thought was something greater, something grander. And I think that there is that slippery slope of morality and aspiration to become something better. Whereas I think with the Daleks, you kind of know, if you are complicit going into it, that you may be becoming something far worse. Whereas I think it's the skirting of the line. I think it's the fact that you don't quite know.
Ashard's a weird example because he's living his best life. He was a Cyberman before he ever got converted, so now he's got the best of both worlds. But the comparison would be Dalek Sec, and the poor suck he vored into his own body. There's no happy world there. That's the best case scenario, is Dalek Sec. Jesus Christ.
Yes, but the Dalek set gets to appreciate good jazz and the radio and everything. There are some maybe upsides to this. Whereas, Cybermen, you've heard them listen to jazz in Silver Nemesis. This is meaningless. You can't, not being able to appreciate music, fate worse than death.
Okay, I'm going to stop both that. I think I've heard enough. Ben, I'm going to go to you first. Where are you leaning with this one?
Both had really good points. Sam did have me for a while when he brought up Revelation of the Daleks, and I do remember that.
Sam also brought up how Ashad actually chose this to have this done, whereas no one's chosen to become a Dalek. So yeah, I'm going to give that to Sam the point as well there for the first speed round.
Nice.
Carrying on with the same format now. Trick or treat is what we're doing again. Question 2 of the speed round. What's the freakiest example of body horror in Doctor Who?
Trick.
Yeah, that was Will.
Okay. Are we going for the expanded universe or just Doctor Who in general?
Expanded is fine.
Okay, in that case, then it's the surgery scene in Class, the metaphysical engine, or what Quill did.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Fuck, he's bringing Class up. He's bringing Class to the
Class got announced today for Big Finish. Today,
you're a class act. So treat. Oh, yeah, this is where I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Vengeance and Varus. An old faithful.
Ooh. Okay. Will, your time starts. Wait for it. Don't jump the gun. Here we go. Your time starts now.
So the surgery scene at the end of the metaphysical engine, or what Quill did, where a creature literally burrows its way out of Miss Quill's eye. It's the arm that's giving her pain. We actually see it wriggling in her eyeball as it's taken out through the surgery, and it's gruesome. She loses an eye, nasty scar. It wiggles.
Stop. Okay, Sam, your time starts now.
Philip Martin is a creepy little pervert man. This is the closest. The Vengeance and Varus is the closest we come to video nasties and actual smut films. Not only are we taking a feminine character and torturing her with absolute cruelty, the people doing it are doing it for absolute fun in a way that mirrors our own sick, depraved world.
Stop. And
Didn't know I had that in me, man.
Yeah. Okay. What I love about the surgery in the metaphysical engine, or what Quill did, is that it is built up a bit over the course of the story. We're told you can have this arm removed from your brain. Here's the ingredients for it, but it will cause you immeasurable pain. And even with that build up, I'm still not quite prepared for the scene when it happens. I'm not a expanded universe completionist, but I've watched like all of Torchwood as well. I've watched all Torchwood, all of Class, most of Doctor Who. I think in terms of just pure gore, nothing tops the metaphysical engine surgery scene. I think the fact that a living creature is burrowing out of a character's eye through surgery and they're on the floor, like they can see it coming out with their spare eyeball. It's nasty, nasty stuff. And I think because it's an older audience for a BBC Three audience, it's so sexy and so right now, it tops pre-Watershed Doctor Who.
Ooh. It's the question is best example, right? Best example. So nice and subjective. I have an eye phobia. So, but even so, I'm getting this sort of stuff from Torchwood as well. The open brain in fragments, it rings a bell. When it's surgery stuff, it's not sci-fi. Surgery is a real world thing, and the little alien fucker, yes, disgusting, but this is an entire world of fantasy body horror. We've used the fantastical sci-fi elements and perverted them to make the most sick, twisted kind of body horror. Being turned... what always gets me with body horror, as someone who is genuinely affected by it, it gets me horribly, is the viciousness behind it. When you're turned into something comical, and it's done, it's like, you're a bird now. You're a bird. That's funny, isn't it? It's like the maliciousness behind it is just as bad as the physical nature of what is happening to Perry Brown's body. A very over-sexualized character in the series, so it makes it a very uncomfortable watch and a great fucking scene. It's what Vengeance and Varus is remembered for. Philip Martin spent his entire career trying to replicate the high of Vengeance and Varus and never quite did it. And sad, weird little fact here, if you want something really fucking depraved, Perry Brown is canonical that she wet herself during this process. Why that's a detail in any book, I don't know.
You wrote this book.
Sick little perverts. I don't remember, so I just look weird for knowing that.
Wilderness years. Stop it.
Wilderness.
It's not fun anymore.
But all of this. all of this trying to ruin what is genuinely one of the ultimate classics of Doctor Who, and it is because people love it at its most depraved and what it's saying through its body horror.
I think that is with the surgery as well, because it's happening to Miss Quill over the course of this story. Somebody who fights tooth and nail to get what she wants. That she, over the course of the story, goes through 2 literal afterlives to get to where she is now, and this is the agonizing process of it. I think it adds so much subtext to the story as well, to say so much about Miss Quill's character. The surgery is taking place in a school assembly hall. It's not some sort of sterile environment, and it's being done by somebody's actual hands, not with tools. Balon's a morpher, a shapeshifter, turns his finger into a needle over the eye. The direction from Wayne Yip is impeccable. This guy did Resolution, Empress of Mars. He knows his visual chops. He's so good. It's astonishingly done. It's not just a gruesome set piece, but it's great for the story and the characters. And Wayne Yip directs the hell out of it, and it's so well performed.
It's not just wanton body horror for the sake of body horror in Vengeance and Varos. The fact that the viewer is also looking at this uninterrupted shot of Perry and her friend being slowly transformed on this desk makes them just as complicit as the characters watching it in the story.
Okay. Very nice. Ben, first thoughts.
Sam, it was an uphill battle because it's a good thing I actually had watched Will's class videos recently, because otherwise I wouldn't know what he's talking about. But yeah, that visual is
same, yeah.
I'm sorry. It's the year of class, everyone.
It's the violation that does get to me. That is the whole point. But then again, there is a violation with class as well, with the creature burrowing out of her. So there's still some of that there. At first, I was just thinking, am I just going off visuals alone rather than the intent behind it? But then Will said that, and that was a tiny bit of sort of dancing around it but you mentioned some tortured stuff. You brought up the subjectivity of the question, and I think I had made my mind up then. I'm going to give it to Will.
I completely agree. And it pains me to give a point to something that's from fucking class, but that's all right, you know? It's fine. Well, you're getting it.
If you're going to give it to something from class, you do it from that episode. It is the best.
I really like that one.
It is the best episode.
I like that episode as well.
And it's so gendered. It's so gendered and sensitive. It's hard to argue against. So that was class. That was good. That was class.
You just know that Jamie out there has somehow sensed this.
I would like to apologize to the late Philip Martin. You know, I'm not kink shaming. I don't kink shame.
Anyway, question 3. Last one of the speed round now. Okay, here we go. So go, guys. So ready, trick or treat in. This is it. This is going to decide everything now, because you are absolutely neck and neck. This is it. What's the best villain performance that isn't the big 3, Dalek, Cybermen, or the Master?
I was having this conversation yesterday. Treat. Okay. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Okay. Lloyd as Son of Mine from Family of Blood.
Harry Lloyd from Son of Mine, Son of Mine, Family of Blood. Lovely. I would also accept Jack Reeves to that answer, but...
Christopher Gable, who played Shara's Jack in The Caves of Androzani.
Absolutely. Oh, I tell you what then, for the last time tonight, I'm going to have a look at this. Now, Sam, your time starts now.
Lloyd is just one of those actors who seems almost wasted on Doctor Who. He's gone on to be in massive franchises since and really, really good indie projects. He brings a new kind of Doctor Who villain performance that we haven't seen before somehow. He moves like a true, genuine alien with every single... Damn it. I started a bit late.
That's all right. It's all right. Okay. Will, your time starts now.
Gable's performance can only be described as operatic. It is something that, like, it is not just the Phantom of the Opera parallel with the deformity. He's working so well under that restrictive mask, but it's the voice, it's the turns to the camera, it's the screen presence, and working with Peter Davison at the top of his game as well. They're punching each other, and it's great. Metaphorically.
Okay, and for the for the very last time tonight, fight.
Look, you're a character who's in a mask, and yes, I know you're going to take the angle of look how much he does even with half his face obscured. Lloyd has all of his face on display, and you wouldn't change a single thing about it. He's finding new ways to move the human face in scary, malicious, alien ways. He is taunting, he is patronizing, he is having such fun in this nasty adventure where he's winning the entire episode. And you get such a sense of joy through his performance because of it that I don't think was even in the original script, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think his performance, it works so well when it's like just him, when the camera's just on him. I will say, I think where Gable excels over Jeremy Baines in that performance is that he works so well with the other actors as well, where he's able to go toe to toe with Peter Davison, it's his best performance as the Doctor, unambiguously, and also just his interactions with Nicola Bryant, making her visibly uncomfortable when he just talks about the beauty of Perry and how much he wants to own it and possess it. His hands are around her. Jeremy Baines is a terrific character and a terrific villain. He does not have that level of interactivity with the rest of the cast. He just doesn't. He's with the rest of the family who are giving similarly good performances, but they work well as a unit. I think Gables carries it on his own.
No. There's a reason he doesn't need to talk to John Smith or have a relationship with Martha Jones. It's because he's the one-man show. He sells that cliffhanger single-handedly with... I think it's my favorite cliffhanger of all time. With John Smith having to choose between Martha and Nurse Redfern. And it's the cruelty, it's the delicious way he says it. Your choice. It is never left my brain. And this is not the be-all and end-all. Here's a little test. How much can we quote our favorite actors' performances? Because Lloyd, I think I know every single line from him, just because he says it in such an amazingly unique way that I don't think any other actor would have chosen. Soldiers!
I think that because we get we only get like maybe 1 or 2 scenes with Jeremy Baines before he becomes Son of Mine. We don't get to see a massive change in Son of Mine, which, that's part of the appeal. He is an immovable force of nature, whereas we get to see a full-blown arc with Shera's Jack over the course of the Caves of Androzani, where he loses what's most important to him. He loses control of the caves. He loses control of his androids. And in the end, he kind of becomes a almost like redemptive hero by the end, but he still dies in the arms of one of his androids, which shows him no affection in return. The script is there, and Gable's meeting it. Robert Holmes at the top of his game. He's just somebody who is excelling on the same level as everybody else in that story. And when he takes the mask off at the end, and he's got the green face and the makeup and there, and he's like, "Look at me!" It is like operatic, almost simplistic, like Phantom of the Opera dialogue, but he sells it so well and gives it such pathos. And that, like, the turn to the camera at the end of part one of the best villain laughs. And I've watched a lot of Hartnell recently. There's a lot of great villain laughs in his era, but Gable excels on every front.
I'm not arguing against Jack. Amazing character, but Son of Mine has absolutely planted himself in my... we spend enough time with Baines to know that he is a common upper school elitist prick. That's all we need, because this is the big Twitter conversation around human nature. Is it racist? No. The supernatural elements of it are exaggerating the awful Britain of this time period, of these awful people we were. Baines is Son of Mine. It's an exaggerated, horrific perversion. It's a horrific, sick, twisted version of who Baines was.
And I also think with Shera's Jack, though, because he works so well, even though he doesn't have that much actual on-screen interaction, he's a great counterpoint to Morgus, played by John Normington. I don't know how much interaction the two actors may have had, if they communicated at all, but both of them do their turns to the camera in very subtle and different ways. They're complementing each other as these counterpoint villains. And when they do finally meet at the end, it pays off in spades. I love the interactions between them two. And like I said, I just think that he gets so much dialogue dialogue, especially in part 2, when he is just monologuing to the Fifth Doctor and Perry, and it's captivating the whole way. I think that Harry Lloyd is great in short bursts, but in terms of just the amount of screen time, the amount of dialogue, I think Gable does such a great job in a mid-1980s TV BBC budget. It has to be carried through the sheer force of will.
Lloyd has more range than you're giving him credit for. I also think you're going your arguments are that he can do Phantom of the Opera. Yes, it's a very cliche kind of mold of villain. He's doing it fantastically. Nobody would choose to do Banes like this. Sorry, let me just put it. So many key moments of Family of Blood depend on him delivering them. There's the ending, which is he narrates. He has to sell that the Doctor would just turn on a dime and send all these people to these horrific fates, and you believe it because of his brilliant narration. It's just he finds so many different ways to play the same I'm a man on a mission looking for eternal life and I'm having fun, but there's a desperation to it as well, which means his physical performance alone, he wouldn't have to have any lines to absolutely terrify me.
I absolutely agree, but I just think that his performance is complemented so well by the other members of the family who are giving similarly off-kilter performances. He is being propped up, he's above the shoulders of the rest of them, but he is still above their shoulders, making sure that he's giving a consistent performance to the rest of them while also making it his own, but it is still being a shared family unit. Whereas I think Sheraz Jack is just a league on his own, not just in that story, but in that whole era of the show.
I can't quite agree. Everyone in Caves of Androzani lives in this horrid world, and they are all this level of comically twisted and awful. He's more dramatic about it, absolutely. Nobody else in the family is giving it the sheer theatrics that Lloyd is. Everyone else talks a bit like this, and they're talking with the region accents to mock them. But Son of Mine, it's all like, Headmaster, sir, good evening, sir. Can't give me a caning, sir. And it's just such resentment. It's so deep. I believe not only has he hated these people, like anything, I think he's genuinely hated anything smaller than him for such a long time that the actor scares me as well as the character.
I'd argue that Rebecca Staton, who plays Mother of Mine, is doing a very similar thing as well. And of course, that's testament to her as a performance as well, and of course to Paul Cornell's writing for it. But I just think that when you have a character who just sells the isolation of living in caves, like he's been living underground, and he has been forced to appreciate the idea of beauty in his own creations that do not love him back in the same way, and that desperation, that in denial that he is about his own predicament and position as well. And he's like the dragon Smaug on his like mountain of gold, except it's not gold, it's a form of immortality that he keeps to himself and uses as leverage for the Vietnam parallels around him, which he brings everyone down to his level. And we hear his narration as well, his pleas to save Perry's life as well, which is what the Fifth Doctor hears when he's crawling through the caves.
The actor's doing his part, absolutely. I think this is all a really good script, first and foremost. And you could say the same about mine, sure. But then I look at Human Nature, the novelization. Paul Cornell's had how many years with this character? And still, Lloyd is just an energy. He brings so much new to it that it's almost unrecognizable from the original novel.
Okay. Go on, Will. I'll let you say your very last point.
I just think that it is just a production at the top of its game. And the fact that when you've got there's so much to love about the Caves of Androzani, but the image of that mask and the voice of Sheraz Jack, and I think the fact that he's able to stand out amongst everything else in that story, it's like if everything else is a 10, he's an 11. I just think the fact that he's such an iconic and memorable classic series villain, when it comes like the TV production and how things are prioritized was so different in the 80s to how they are in the mid 2000s, and that he's still memorable and he's still lauded. I think it stands the test of time. Not saying Harry Lloyd won't stand the test of time, but I think that we have the actual like evidence decades in the making for Sheraz Jack.
Okay. Fucking hell.
I don't want to be a judge anymore. Getting my ass kicked was easier than this.
Like, see, people think I have an easy job, like doing this. Me and Robin, they think, oh, we kick back and it's so easy for us, but it's not. It's so fucking difficult.